The cool breeze blew by, unable to move the old trees and pines, but it stirred up a patch of low trees. The little bird hidden among the leaves seemed to wake up, jumped up quickly, and traced a wing mark on the stream in the forest. The stream meandered, and soon it met another stream. The two suddenly jumped happily, and finally gushed out together on the cliff, falling into a waterfall. This waterfall, like white satin and light gauze, slowly covers the clear pool under the cliff, raising a cloud and mountain mist, and the misty waves are like a fairyland on earth, making people unable to stop and cannot bear to step on it. However, there is a hint of disharmony in such a beautiful picture. A man of insignificant age, with a cheeky face, wearing a tattered black tight-fitting vest, military green shorts, bare feet, and with long, yellow and messy hair, was lying on a large rock by the pool, with his eyes half closed and licking his nostrils wantonly in an extremely inelegant posture. Beside him, there were two girls, one of whom looked like a young girl. Her eyebrows are like eat eyes, her face is like glazed porcelain, and her long black hair hangs down naturally along her white jade bottle-like neck, draped over her thin shoulders. Paired with her short-sleeved floral dress, she looks particularly charming. But what is regrettable is that she is sitting in a metal wheelchair and seems to be unable to move her lower body. The other girl, who looked 8 or 9 years old, was sitting on the edge of the stone with her hands on her face, facing the clear pool. The skin exposed under some loose t-shirts on his body is slightly dark and rough, and his face is not that good-looking, but he is still very well behaved. At this moment, she was pouting her little mouth, and suddenly she turned her head towards the man lying behind her, and the braid on the back of her head was suddenly swung over, quite smartly. A crisp voice sounded. "Brother Tang, keep talking. What happened to the supreme treasure? Did Bai Jingjing eat him after he transformed? Oh, just keep talking." The little girl was coquettish and stretched out her hand to shake the man. Brother Tang opened his eyes, stretched out comfortably, grabbed the little girl's hand, and wiped the boogers on his fingers on her wrist. He completely ignored the little girl's disgust and disgust, pretending to be serious, and said, "Ahead, children should go to bed early and get up early so that they can grow taller and become more beautiful. Look at Sister Lizzie, how beautiful she is. It is precisely because she has been sleeping more and eating more since she was a child that she looks so fair and tender, just like an internet celebrity." Sister Lizzie in the wheelchair was obviously offended by such a compliment, with black lines all over her face, and she pretended to be angry. "You idiot. You think I don't know you are saying I'm like a pig? And you called me Lizzie again. Next time I have to tear all your clothes into vests, hum." Wan Tang didn't care, closed his eyes again, and replied slowly, "It doesn't matter. The weather is so hot anyway, it's just cool to change into a vest." The girl giggled and made a suggestion innocently. "Sister Ailey, you can try to change Brother Tang's pants next time. Brother Tang is afraid of the heat. It should be cooler to have 2 holes in the back of your butt." Hearing this, Wan Tang sat up and looked at the girl sadly. "You have changed. You were not like this before?" Ali raised the corners of his mouth slightly and sneered. "Oh, I didn't learn this from you." Wan Tang was choked speechless, rolled his eyes, quickly organized words in his mind, and planned to retort, but he saw the girl retracted her legs, turned around, grabbed the corners of Wan Tang's clothes with both hands, and asked him with wide eyes, "Brother Tang, what is an internet celebrity? What is a big star?" The girl's interruption suddenly stopped Wan Tang's thoughts, and he even ignored the girl's action of wiping his nose on the hem of his clothes. He raised his head and stared blankly at the stars and moon in the night sky, which were much clearer than in his memory. There are also several of them arranged in a straight line, emitting dazzling cold light, like bright buttons, dividing the curtain of night into 2, spreading a silver light on the earth, illuminating it like a fake sun during the day. Wan Tang suddenly felt a little bored. Although it had been more than 2 years since he regained consciousness, he still couldn't get used to how bright the night was. Such light always made him feel at a loss and with nowhere to hide. Taking a deep breath and sweeping away the haze deep in his heart, Wan Tang put on a smiling face again. Internet celebrity, what should I say? Do you still remember those picture albums that you found under Mr. Liu's bed? They are those books called magazines. The girl covered her open mouth with her hands. Huh? Those without clothes? I don't remember. Her little head shook like a rattle. Wan Tang coughed for a while. Do you only remember those books without clothes? Ahem, it's the ones with clothes on. Those are the good-looking sisters on the cover, the kind of people who are popular and liked by many people. They are big stars. As for internet celebrities, they are not much different from them, but not so many people know and follow them. The girl tilted her head and began to recall. Those sisters are really beautiful. I really want to know who is so talented and can draw them so beautifully. That's not a painting, that's called a photo. It was taken by a camera. What is a camera? I seem to have heard of it somewhere. Boom. Wan Tang knocked on the girl's forehead. Have you forgotten the lesson that teacher Wang taught you just a few days ago? It's about cameras, camcorders, mobile phones, and the like. See if I don't snitch on you. The girl rubbed her forehead and said aggrievedly, I haven't seen it before. Of course I have no impression. If you let me use such a magical thing, I will definitely remember it for the rest of my life. When Wan Tang heard this, he sighed silently in his heart. In fact, he was not very willing to talk to the children about this. For these little kids in the village who were born after the advent of the White Knight era, every time they were told about the products of the previous era, their big eyes would always flash with a little yearning from time to time. This made Wan Tang feel a little guilty every time, as if he had taken away the cakes and candies placed in front of the children. Really? It should be difficult to use them again. Those things require electricity to be used, but now the electricity is gone. It's not a power outage, but the power is out. Wan Tang's tone couldn't help but feel a little downcast. Brother Tang, do you know why the electricity went out? The girl's thirst for knowledge suddenly became strong. The annoying little devil. How do I know? You should ask your teacher Wang, Wan Tang said angrily. In fact, he had always had a guess in his mind that it was most likely related to the fake sun in the sky. Hee, I know. The girl's expression was a little proud. Oh. The girl raised her little head and said with joy, Sixth Master told me a long time ago. He said that Lei Gong and Dianmu had a fight, and Dianmu was so angry that she didn't want to go to work, so she ran outside to play. Like Fat Ant, she had a fight with Teacher Wang before, and then she didn't cook for several days, so we could only eat what Lu'id cooked. Mr. Liu, ugh. Whenever Master Liu is associated with food, Wan Tang will feel nauseous. It's not that the food made by Master Liu is not delicious, but that Wan Tang has an extreme psychological shadow about something in his memory, and this shadow happens to be related to Master Liu. Wan Tang didn't want to continue on this topic, let alone be pestered by this little brat anymore, so he had no choice but to save the country. Ali. Humph. Ali responded with a snort. She knew that whenever Wan Tang didn't call her Lizzie, that was when he asked for something from her. Take the girl back to the room and go to bed. I guess it's almost 10 o'clock. No, I want to enjoy the cool air. Ali's attitude was cold. Go. I want to take a shower. Just wash it. Who cares about you? Wan Tang stood up without saying a word. He took off his vest first, revealing the black rope pendant around his neck. He took it off and placed it on the stone surface with his clothes as a cushion. Then he put his hand on the edge of his pants, making a gesture to take them off, and saw that half of his white buttocks was already exposed. Girl, come here, push sister back. Ali tilted his head. The girl blushed, stood up reluctantly, kicked Wan Tang's flip-flops into the pool, then walked behind Ali, held the handle of the wheelchair, turned the wheelchair around, and slowly pushed it down the slope along the edge of the boulder. Before leaving, the girl turned around and cursed. Brother Sugar is a stinking hooligan. There was no one around. The waterfall, the chirping of insects, and the chirping of birds in the distance were intertwined, making the moment even more peaceful. Wan Tang smiled and was about to take off his clothes and jump into the pool. At this time, his intuition told him that something was wrong. He looked warily at a big tree on the other side of the pool. "Fat sister, you peeked at me taking a shower again." Wan Tang was a little sad and angry. "Bah!" After taking the lead, a middle-aged lady who is not fat and even somewhat slim appeared from behind the big tree. "When you lost your memory a few years ago, I didn't even know how many times I bathed you. Why did you still need to peek? TSK, TSK, TSK. Your body is getting more and more stylish. Would you like me to help you soap it up?" There was a kind of light in the fat sister's eyes, which seemed to be the legendary lewd light. Wan Tang stretched out his hand to cover his face, feeling helpless in his heart. Regarding Wan Tang's amnesia, we have to start from the beginning. More than 10 years ago, Wan Tang was an ordinary salesman. I don't know what the lives of other salesmen were like. Anyway, at that time, Wan Tang's daily life was full of monotony and boring. Check in, meet with clients, be humiliated by your boss, think hard about what to eat for lunch, fail to complete your performance, think hard about what to eat in the evening, and then get off work. At night, I feel liberated and immersed in mobile phones, computers, games, movies, and novels. I go to bed reluctantly at 2 or 3 in the morning and then get up reluctantly and go to work. Occasionally, I go to the gym for a while, but I can't last long. Fortunately, the food on weekdays is not rich, so my figure has always been maintained in a slim state. Full of confusion about life, no direction for the future, full of longing for feelings, but unfortunately, she has always been solo. In fact, Wan Tang has a crush, a girl who transferred to their school in the 3rd year of junior high school. There is a popular novel, The Girl We Chased Together in Those Years, written by Pu Jing. It is said that Wan Tang has done basically all the things that boys have done for girls, whether described or not described. The only difference is that the girl does not know that Wan Tang likes her, or in other words, the girl does not know how much Wan Tang likes her. Because Wan Tang is an orphan and has low self-esteem, he does not dare to express his feelings to girls. Finally, one day, the girl fell in love, and then Wan Tang heard from others the date of their wedding. Frustrated, Wan Tang quit his job, sent a voice message to his uncle who had raised him for many years, then packed up his bags, turned off his cell phone, and went to the mountains alone for an excursion that was similar to a spiritual practice. Hiking was very hard, exposed to wind and sun, lack of food and clothing, and insect bites, which made Wan Tang regret his decision. And just when he was about to end this practice, a dazzling light in the sky passed through the gap in the shade of the trees and shot straight into his head, and then he discovered that he had traveled through time. He entered a space with a rather blurry background. All distant and nearby scenery seemed to be covered with a layer of water mist, as if everything was illusory and he could only feel the reality of the ground beneath his feet. While he was still thinking about whether he was soul-transported or possessed, he suddenly found that he was surrounded by a group of monsters, humanoid, non-humanoid, and all kinds of monsters. All the monsters he had seen or read in past stories were filled with them, and everyone stared at him with evil intentions. If the creepy holes on the faces of some monsters could be called eyes. Unlike the background, these monsters are truly outrageous. When they inserted their claws or teeth into Wan Tang's body and tore it apart, this was the only thought he had left. Then he died. After experiencing a pain that felt like thousands of ants gnawing at his bones, he actually came back to life with full health and full health. He was so damn resurrected. Not long after he was shocked, the figures of monsters began to appear around him one after another. Before he could even curse out, "Holy shit," his head flew up. He died again. Then he rose again. The monsters appear again. What goes around comes around. Isn't it? Did God let him travel through time just to make him die again and again? What evil had he committed? Pain, disappointment, grievance, unwillingness. All the negative emotions came one after another and finally gathered together. They turned into anger, endless anger. He began to resist. He used his fists, teeth, nails, forehead, elbows, knees, and all the parts of his body that could be used as weapons to attack the monsters, using up all his strength. Finally, he finished venting his anger, and then he became tired because he found that it was of no use at all, and he still died again and again. He began to calm down and concentrated on thinking about methods and techniques to kill the monsters. Although he was not given much time to think each time, fortunately, these monsters did not exceed the strength and defense of the conventional body. Over time, all his concentration finally paid off. The first time he killed a humanoid, pus-covered monster that looked like it crawled out of a swamp pit. Then there is the second reptile that looks like the facehugger in Alien. Then the third, the fourth. He still inevitably dies again and again, but before each death, he will definitely take away more than one monster. A long time passed, and finally the last monster fell in front of him. A burst of light flashed, and Wan Tang was filled with joy, thinking that he was about to escape from this world. However, after the scene changed, he found himself trapped in a huge, cold weapon battlefield. He was a soldier among countless human warriors fighting each other on the field. The faces of these warriors could not be seen clearly, but Wan Tang could clearly feel the bloodthirst and cruelty from their bodies. The process of killing and being killed continues. Another unknown period of time passed, and Wan Tang's body and mind had already become numb. When the last enemy died under his sword, he didn't even have any thoughts, and was just silently preparing for the next scene. He doesn't know how many scene rotations he has experienced, and he can't remember how many times he has died and resurrected, and how many enemies he has killed. In short, in this process, he has learned and mastered almost all the offensive methods and power techniques that can be displayed through the human body, including the use of various hot and cold weapons. It is no exaggeration to say that Wan Tang is a real killing machine. Suddenly one day, inexplicably, he was suddenly thrown out of this mysterious world. The moment he opened his eyes, he was sure that he was back in the real world. He was still leaning against the big tree, and the angle of the tree's shadow was almost exactly the same as in his extremely clear memory. It seemed that not even a single minute of time had passed. Then a severe headache hit him, and he passed out completely. It is worth mentioning that at this time, the fake sun appeared in the sky, and then the electricity disappeared. Chapter 2: Servant of God. The tricks of fate are unpredictable, and sometimes even a little unreasonable. At that time, Mr. Liu happened to live nearby. According to Mr. Liu, he liked to hide in deep mountains and valleys to stay away from the hustle and bustle of the world, so he had some footholds in many uninhabited places. He happened to pass by and saw Wan Tang sleeping here, so he took him back to his residence. Not only did the rescued Wan Tang's hair turn gray overnight, but he also didn't react to the things around him at all after opening his eyes, as if he was completely demented. At that time, Mr. Liu didn't believe that an idiot would come to this deep mountain and old forest. What's more, Wan Tang seemed to have a full beard and tail except for his hair, which was whiter than his own. He was dressed normally and had no illness or injury on his body. What haven't I seen before, Mr. Liu? How can there be such a sound idiot? Is this brat trying to blackmail me? Hee hee. During dinner the next day, Mr. Liu gave Wan Tang a bowl of watery feces, and then, wearing a mask, he fed Wan Tang 3 full bowls of his own urine. Not a drop left. Now Mr. Liu is stupid. Later, after Wan Tang regained consciousness, he overheard Master Liu talking about the mountains with the people in the village. Based on Wan Tang's understanding of Master Liu, he would definitely be able to do such a thing. From then on, Wan Tang was unwilling to associate Liu Yu with food. Whenever he inadvertently imagined that scene and put himself in it, he wanted to explode on the spot, blowing up Liu Yu with him. However, Master Liu was not aware of it. After knowing that Wan Tang was awake, he often mentioned this matter to him, saying that Wan Tang was the person he had saved in an attempt to beautify himself. This made Wan Tang 12 extremely suspicious that this old boy only did this to satisfy his own bad taste. Closer to home, Mr. Liu, who saved the man, initially planned to call the police and wanted the police to send him back based on Wan Tang's ID card information. But all the electrical appliances were out of order, and even the police could not report it. For someone like Mr. Liu, who was so old that he had almost seen the Qing dynasty, he just thought that modern electronic products were unreliable and didn't think much about it. As for the disappearing night and the fake sun that appeared in the sky, he even thought it was just some new technology that scientists had recently developed to light up the night sky. Originally, rescuing Wan Tang was just a matter of convenience for Mr. Liu, but because Wan Tang was an idiot, it gave him a headache. He couldn't just throw a living person into a ravine to fend for himself, right? Well, who told Mr. Liu that I am chivalrous, tender and pure in heart, and my loyalty and courage will shine through history? Liu Ye's original words, "A good person should do it to the end." Liu Ye planned to take Wan Tang back to the city himself and then hand it over to the police uncle for them to handle. But Wan Tang is not just an idiot, he is also paralyzed. To transport him out of here is not only a technical job, but also a physical job. Mr. Liu didn't have the skills, let alone the effort. Anyway, he was idle and he had plenty of time. It would be nice to have someone to accompany him in the deep mountains and old forests. Liu Ye, who claimed to have studied acupuncture for several years, decided to conduct an experiment on Wan Tang, using the dead horse as a living horse doctor. After pricking the beard with a silver needle, Wan Tang actually got out of bed 5 months later. Faced with such a medical miracle, Wan Tang estimated that there was only one explanation for the matter. He probably couldn't bear the pain, so he started to move as a last resort. After all, he was just mentally ill at the time, but physically there was nothing wrong with him. Now that Wan Tang has regained his mobility, the next thing is much easier for Mr. Liu. He prepared a lot of dry food, found a rope, made a circle around one end, tied a knot, and then put it around Wan Tang's neck. Mr. Liu held the other end. One person and one dog. No, the two of them walked and walked in the deep mountains. It took them about 10 days to finally reach the edge of the nearest town. Only then did I realize that the world was already in chaos. According to Mr. Liu, it is like going to the toilet and coming out, and then you find that the world has changed. Seeing the smoke and ruins everywhere, Liu Ye made a quick decision and resolutely led Wan Tang, hiding here and there, running left and right, going around and around until he reached his current place of residence and took root. In the process of escaping, he met many refugees one after another. Liu Ye thought that it would be impossible to rely on only one person and one idiot for his future life, so he simply took along everyone who could and was willing to follow. These people included Fat Sister and Teacher Wang. Later, we learned from these refugees what was happening outside. The white knight appears, the current disappears instantly, the financial system collapses, and survival materials are lacking. Human beings first hurt each other, and then the heroes separated themselves and claimed the land. After a few days of stability, a zombie virus suddenly breaks out all over the world. Infected people will scratch and bite normal people around them without warning, like mad dogs. These zombies are not at all like the swaying types in previous movies, but beasts with extremely fast speed, super strength, and amazing explosive power. At the beginning, humans were caught off guard and panicked. They were frightened by the zombies and fled in all directions. Countless humans died from the zombies. Fortunately, these zombies did not seem to be able to spread the virus, and their intelligence was similar to that of Wan Tang at the time. Taking advantage of these characteristics, the remaining humans began to gather together and rely on their IQ advantages such as weapons, traps, and strongholds to fight against them. During the same period, a small number of superhumans appeared among humans. Compared with zombies, superhumans are faster, more powerful, and more explosive. They all look like Captain America and can basically punch a small zombie. These superhumans are called mutants. With the emergence of mutants, humans quickly wiped out most of the zombies in the living area. The hope of rebuilding civilization and the dawn of victory are right in front of them. Like a beautiful woman wearing only a bathrobe, she is winking at humans, as if she can experience the most charming scenery by stretching out her hand. Unexpectedly, just when humans took off their pants and were about to enjoy the hard-won sexual happiness, a group of strangers suddenly poured in from outside the city and announced that they would make human slaves, and those who disobeyed would be killed on the spot. Isn't this Shenjingbing? It's been so many years since slavery was overthrown, but you are so retro when you come up. Why don't you go feed the dinosaurs? Of course, humans are unwilling to do so. If they don't make peace, the war begins. I originally thought that these strangers were just bandits who came from other cities to pick up the fruits of victory and take advantage of them. With the blessing of mutants here, and being on the defensive side, we will definitely knock the brains out of the opponent's dog. Unexpectedly, I realized something was wrong at the beginning of the battle. These people were not normal humans at all. They could all transform. It's not the relatively civilized transformation of Ultraman and Saint Seiya, but a savage beast transformation with a body that suddenly swells, clothes burst, fangs protruding, and it looks like various animals standing upright. This group of people call themselves servants of the gods, but humans prefer to call them orcs. Compared to the mutants, the individual strength of the orcs was slightly lower, but they were numerous, so as soon as they fought, the humans were retreating. It was at this time that Fat Sister and the others were separated from the crowd, wandering around, and became refugees. Chapter 3: Dongfang Village. Strictly speaking, Wan Tang's village cannot be considered a village. It is backed by a cliff and stretches out from a depression in the cliff. There are a few thatched and wooden houses randomly surrounded. It is a shanty town at best. At first, because everyone came here as refugees and had a decadent and dilapidated mind, they used to call this place a shabby village. After living there for a few years, their mentality calmed down, so they asked teacher Wang to rename it Dongfang Village because this cliff happened to face the rising sun. When I first settled here, supplies were extremely scarce, but there was no shortage of food and drink in a short period of time. There was a waterfall and a clear pool next to it, and Mr. Liu had already stored a lot of rice and noodles here. But things like a bedboard to sleep on and a roof to protect from the rain, which can bring a sense of security, as well as some other daily necessities, are almost zero. Even after getting into a queen-size bed, you can only wipe your butt with tree leaves. A group of people huddled in the cave all day long, worrying and thinking wildly. It is definitely not a long-term solution to continue like this. Louis has no choice but to leave Wan Tang behind, ask Fat Ant to help take care of him, and then leave alone. From that time on, whenever Mr. Liu left the village, he would leave Wan Tang in the care of Fat Sister. Wan Tang guessed that it was during that time that Fat Sister gave him a bath. In less than half a month, Mr. Liu brought back 2 large snakeskin bags of supplies, the kind of big bags used for moving. I don't know where the old man got the strength to carry such things over the mountains and ridges. The refugees can finally calm down and face their situation seriously. Under the leadership of Mr. Liu, everyone began to set up camp here. As the old saying goes, an elder in a family is like a treasure. What's more, it's a 1,000-year-old bastard like Mr. Liu who has become a spirit. Not only building houses and sheds, he can also clear wasteland, grow vegetables and mushrooms, and many other life skills. Taught while doing it themselves, the refugees quickly learned basic independent operations under the pressure of survival. It didn't take long for the village to take shape day by day. Through everyone's hard-working division of labor and cooperation, the place slowly regained the breath of life. Louis said that time reminded him of his previous days in the production team. After living in such a stable manner for nearly a year, Mr. Liu felt that he should understand the situation in the outside world. After entrusting Wan Tang to Fat Sister, he went out alone again. Unexpectedly, when he came back, he would bring a little girl with a waist injury and a high fever and a coma. This girl was Ali. When she woke up, she was hemiplegic. Faced with Ali's situation, it seemed that Mr. Liu had nothing to do. He just gave Ali a medical wheelchair that was said to be made of titanium alloy when he went on a long trip. At the same time, Master Liu also brought news from the outside world. Facing the attacks of the orcs, humans have suffered repeated defeats. Most of the areas have been occupied, and Dongfeng village happens to be in the occupied area. This news caused a panic in the village at that time, but everyone's emotions soon calmed down, because Mr. Liu also said that after the orcs occupied the human city, they did not go on a killing spree, but only classified all humans into slaves and managed them uniformly. Being a slave is not necessarily worse than the current life. This is what everyone agrees on. What's more, for social creatures like humans, the more people there are, the richer the material production will be. However, even so, Mr. Liu later set up a large cordon within a kilometer around the village and even built a smoke-free stove in the village. In order to avoid traces of human habitation, Mr. Liu even stipulated that everyone would boil water, cook and eat at designated spots in the future. From now on, every once in a while, Liu will go out to find out the news and get some daily necessities. Regarding where the daily necessities come from, Mr. Liu said, "I picked them up." In fact, it's right to think about it. After experiencing those disasters, the population on the Earth is probably less than 1/10 of what it used to be. But what kind of stores used to be the most popular in our country? Isn't it just restaurants and supermarkets? Now they have become ownerless things. You can just pick up the things inside. Occasionally, Mr. Liu would pick up some little ones, sometimes babies, sometimes children ranging in age from 3 to 4 years old. Everyone can guess what is going on outside now, so everyone loves these little brats and takes care of them as their own children. In the blink of an eye, more than 10 years have passed. 2 pairs of young men and women in the village have freely paired up and have offspring. Together with a child that Mr. Liu once picked up, Dongfeng village has developed to the present, with a population of nearly 30. Wan Tang also experienced the stages of evolving from an idiot to a fool, and then to a mentally retarded person. Finally, more than 2 years ago, he finally regained all consciousness and memory. His hair has grown longer due to long-term neglect, but the color of his hair has changed from white to the current dull yellow. It stands to reason that with Wan Tang's biological age, coupled with his slovenly appearance and thatch-like hair, he should be able to look like a middle-aged man. But the strange thing is that since returning from that time travel, Wan Tang's appearance has not changed, and he has always had the appearance of a young man. It is not the long-lasting youthfulness of celebrities in the past after undergoing various medical treatments and cosmetics, but the kind of youthful vitality that does not change the appearance and seems to have stood still as time passes. The people in the village had experienced strong winds and waves, so they were not surprised by this. "I've seen zombies, orcs, and mutants, so why would I still be afraid of you, a Tianshan child?" What makes Wan Tang depressed is that his peers in the village keep calling him Xiaowan, but those little kids like to call him Brother Tang or Brother Xiaowan because of his young appearance. This makes Wan Tang often confused about which generation he belongs to in the village, so he simply grows a beard in order to raise his generation a little bit. Unfortunately, no one takes it seriously. After all, Wan Tang has been stupid in the village for many years. There is another strange thing that only Wan Tang knows. After quietly testing himself several times, he discovered that he has a superpower similar to that of Wolverine, but the self-healing speed is much slower than that of Wolverine. By carefully recalling what had happened to him over the years, he believed that his time traveling should be considered soul traveling. After traveling back, a large number of memories suddenly emerged in an instant, and his brain was overwhelmed, causing severe damage. As a result, he passed out, and his hair turned gray. Fortunately, because of the superpower of self-healing, I was able to gradually return to clarity after being an idiot for so many years, and my long-lasting appearance must be related to this. But as for the origin of this superpower, Wan Tang couldn't figure it out after much deliberation. In the end, he could only roughly judge that it was affected by time travel. Chapter 4: Caring for the Mentally Retarded. In the early morning, the sun had just revealed its peak, and the eastern horizon was already bright, but it was still night above the head, and the starry sky was twinkling and fresh. Wan Tang took a deep breath and exhaled it after a while, quietly feeling the fragrance of oxygen in the forest, then stretched his body and looked up at the starry sky that had not yet been extinguished. When he was a child, Wan Tang loved watching stars because his uncle once told him that a wish made on a shooting star would most likely come true, and many TV dramas at the time had similar plots. Although cliché, it made Wan Tang yearn for it as a child. He has always made only one wish to a shooting star, and that is for his parents to live again.